you go.
Yeah.
What do they think?
We did the sidewalk. In fact, this reminds me, this group here,
We landed in cornfields in Yugoslavia after dark, lit by headlights on cars and trucks, and got Silver Star,
yeah.
oak clusters.
I know about oak clusters.
And he was 26 years old and pulling crap that I would never do in my life in that old plane. My brother Dick flew one through the Rocky Mountains in the back of it, and he has not flown since. John J. Jaquish, we don't know why there's a period because the J doesn't stand for anything. His middle name was the letter J. He was a county agent in Tunkhannock for 42 years, and I tell everybody if he retired and passed away at 65, the funeral would have been 1,000 people, okay? But he made it to 89 within a month of his 90th birthday, so all his friends were gone, and all the people that knew what he did for 42 years were gone. He was an organizer. He was a politician. He got stuff done because people just wanted to do it for him. My grandmother Mabel was a force. She got stuff done because it was either or. Okay? And I've just said, I feel so sad in many respects that mentally she started to slip when I was very young, 8 to 10 years old, and I wish I knew my grandmother better. Okay? But if you see photographs of her in her 40s and 50s, this was a stern, stern woman. And ahead of her time, and a road warrior. He didn't like to drive. He rode around with 16-year-old kids, teaching them how to drive because he didn't like to drive. She'd get behind the wheel and go, oh, it's snowing? We got places to go. It's a thing in our family that people get the middle names of the matriarchs, John Robbins, Mabel Robbins. So he got her maiden name. And that carries on. Nobody got a J. I don't get it. I don't understand why none of you young ladies are married or are named Mabel. Because the way names come back, I think Charlotte and Mabel will come back up. I truly, I don't know how to say this tenderly. I don't envy any young lady today that would be named Mabel. My brother Tom's middle name is Alvin. That's a family middle name. George was killed in the Battle of the Bulge. He's buried in France. Uncle Dave went over to visit. They rolled out the red carpet and treated him, gave him the key to the city. Your brother was killed. He's buried here. That's my understanding. They treat him like $1 million. Photographs show George wearing black glasses. He was the book guy. He was smart. He was more reserved. Bill was alive at the party. He was gregarious, outgoing, and was in a plane that went down. There was a known flaw with it. They didn't get it fixed in time, and the tail rudder didn't work, and they went down to Texas when he was training. I do not know. These people just had to have a fiber. I don't know how you lose 2 sons in their prime and deal with it. So I would just respect so much, and I'd love to talk to him today. John Jay is the, well, we all are. Anybody with a bloodline is descendants of Captain Henry, who sailed over here in 1640. 1640? Why are you not doing this? 1640, and that's the kind of spirit that even though she was not a descendant, I mean, he got in a boat and sailed across the ocean. Okay,
20 years old.
Yeah, so everybody can blame him for us having T-shirts.
And if you go to Maine, you can go see Jaquish Island.
If you go to Newburyport, you
It's
can go
for
knock
sale
on
if
doors
you
and
got
aggravate
12
people.
million. It's got electricity and everything.
I got a car I
Cool
can
13
sell.
mil.
I'll chip in some resources.
Just a little add-on to that. John Jaquish just wasn't just a county agent. He was the first county agent in Wyoming County.
And one of the first in the state.
And one of the first in the state, yeah.
He graduated from Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to Mansfield?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, Robbins, yeah, you bet.
Okay.
He graduated Penn State agronomy, I think. It was agronomy.
Uncle Dave did.
And John R. graduated in, ag engineering?
Ag engineering. Grandpa Jaquish, county agent, where the old Walmart was, that's now True Value Hardware and all that. There was a Willis Jeep dealership there. Yes, Ace Hardware, and there's something about Jim in there.
Yeah.
And when you went behind there, as a child, Abigail's age, I went with him and sprayed DDT on the trees.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen a Burpees catalog where they show you, you can buy this little spindly root tree, you know, this like this, and here's the apples you get, and it's just a whole limb full of apples, apples, apples. That's what he grew.
Exactly.
He owned the apple room at the Pennsylvania State Fairground. He owned the apple room for years, and you went in and the apples were arranged, and it's somewhere there's floating around. I have the newspaper. Maybe I gave it to somebody, of him polishing an apple for Governor Leader in about 1956.
Really?
And my grandfather, hold this, and he's not like this. He's like,
Polishing the apple.
he's holding this big towel, polishing this apple. He's got that grin on, and just a crafty guy. Where the airport is, beside the airport, was NEBA, Northeast Breeders Association. He helped organize that and promote artificial breeding for cattle. It had certified bulls in there. They were mammoth animals. They were so impressive. You get a 3,200-pound bull standing in an enclosure, and you're staring at it. It's like it's stuffed.
Yeah,
Then you hear,
right.
and about 4 seconds later.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
right.
you know, what credit he gets for that, I don't exactly know, but I know he really helped promote and organize it and get it going through the region.
Yeah.
He, as a child in Mainsburg, they had the farm, they had the produce. He would load a horse wagon at 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning or something, and come out of the mountain and down to Mansfield where they would sell the stuff.
One funny story about the Bulls farm, he had like, a 4 or 5 13-year-olds staying with him. You know, the cousin stayed with him one summer. And we'd make those, you'll probably eat some today, the Kiss, you know, the cookies that are made from egg whites. So
Meringue?
meringues. The way he got them was to go down to the bull barn and get this big jug of egg whites. And the way he got the egg whites was, he took us down and they've got this cow, a bull on top of a cow because they collected the semen. They put the semen in this big thing of frozen with hydrogen on these straws. But in the straw they had to put the semen plus maybe the yolk, I'm not sure. So they just had this egg white hanging out. So there's 4 13-year-olds. What's that bull doing?
And the bulls were very aggressive while they were doing
very.
it.
You know,
It
in
was
a little
an
pen
amazing
there.
sight.
Yeah.
It was
And,
amazing.
and he's chuckling, you know, and they're collecting this, and then it's like, whoa.
So you got the egg yolks?
Egg whites.
Egg whites.
They used the egg yolks. We took the egg
Yolks
whites.
are a
and-
different story. You don't want to get that.
Cool.
That's where the ice cream, is that where the ice cream was? Yeah. Where we used to go get the ice cream?
Was that? No, Shadowbrook is where we got the ice cream.
No. We
But
used
there's
to go.
also ice cream place there. I can't remember
Really?
the name of it.
Yeah.
It's gone now. Yeah.
And you used to up on the where the ceiling of the wall met, you could see the tube, and you could see the milk flowing through
Oh,
the tube
yes.
and into the next room.
I didn't realize that was an ice cream place. I remember seeing the milk.
Yeah, we used to go out there and
Through
get
the clear.
ice cream right from the moo to you.
Yeah, right.
I can't
That's
remember
clever.
the name of it, but I remember that well. Yeah. The Shadowbrooks were really.
Yeah. I know you mentioned the bulls. Did you mention the reason for the bull barn? The farmers, every farm needed a bull and a cow to keep the milk going. And it was very dangerous to have a bull because they'd kill farmers. And they also couldn't have high quality bulls because they didn't have money to buy high quality bulls. So the whole point of getting the bull barn was to get the farmers would come together and buy the best bulls they could. They'd, keep them in the bull barn, and then they would bring their cows to breed. So they got good milk cows that way because it was mostly milk, not beef here.
They would take all the good candy, like the chocolate, and put it on their plate and leave us like all this junk. And then we're like, well, that's not fair. But that was how they were bigger than me and scarier than me, so they did that. Kath was, you loved sleeping in that room with all those
In the girls' room.
I did not because they talked all night. And I want to go to sleep. And I'd cry. And then downstairs, we'd have the 3 moms, your mom, my mom, and Pam's mom, Cindy. They'd be down talking all night.
Oh, literally.
And it came up through the floor, so it was like I couldn't sleep anywhere.
There was a heating bed right on the floor. It was just this little, you could look down and see them. And their talking came up like literally all night. 4 or 5.
There'd be like, how many girls of us? I mean, we'd sleep on, you'd push the beds together and then you'd sleep this way instead of this way. And then
Best
you'd be
thing
on the
is,
floor.
The dogs could sleep with us. And the dogs, you know, Pam's dog, mine, just anywhere, they'd lay down on top of us.
And then you painted the cow on the wall.
A large size, a full size Holstein cow.
With a butterfly on the rear end, right? Didn't you have a butterfly?
Well, I know you couldn't find pink for the udders, so I used, it was like bubblegum pink. No, it was a
Straight cow?
milk cow.
I was thinking like Santa.
It was a Holstein.
Yeah, Holstein.
Because that's how I like cows so much now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they're all through my house, but I think it's because even though I didn't like sleeping with all you guys, I still liked coming to Grandpa's.
Yeah.
And so it was just a memory of Grandpa's that I have. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is that we never asked permission to paint this Holstein cow on the wall. And Grandma thought it was hysterical. And since the udders were bubblegum pink, because that was the only color I could find that's pink, one morning when he realized it, he says, I think there's milk dripping through the ceiling. That was his, oh, there's a cow on the wall.
And then we were talking, she was saying how the whole house was only one bathroom.
Yeah.
So when you went in the bathroom, like you probably would never do this, but there were like all generations in the bathroom together. Like you'd be in there with your aunt going to the bathroom, your mother brushing her teeth, your cousin in the shower, your grandmother, you know, getting dressed. I mean, we'd all be in there. And my daughter now is like, that's so gross, Mom, get out of here. I'm like, hey, I've lived like generations seeing what I was going to look like now. That was scary. Oh, Mrs. Mancuso and Jeff.
We used to play with them. They were younger kids than us. And we'd throw the ball from the bathroom down. We'd try to hit them. And they'd throw it back at us. And so one time they grew up and actually made the window. However, the window was one of those you open up like this. And it was like this big piece of glass. So they throw the ball up and I can see it's coming for the window. So I shut the window. And it came through the glass. And Grandpa's like, why did you shoot the window? He never got mad at anybody, but it was just kind of like... So we went final glass replaced the window.
Oh my goodness. Did you have to pay for it?
I think so.
Yeah.
That was kind of, you know,
Grandpa
one of those
was,
times.
Yeah, he would be strict like that.
Yeah. Like the very few times he would be strict. Hey, the petunia boxes are still here. Yeah.
I like your drop the beat shirt.
Thank you. I've got a friend who has it's a urban like gardening and hip hop summer camp.
Amazing.
So it's like the perfect like actually dropping the beat. There's no better phrase.
The barn is still here. And these two pine trees, some kids went up to the top one year and cut off the top for Christmas trees.
Oh no.
And Grandpa was so mad because that kind of tree, you know.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to cut it out.
That's probably why that one is double.
Exactly.
Is that
Like to glue, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back in that corner was, this was just grass, and there was a great big metal, one bar, like L bar, with one swing on it. And it was right in the middle, and that's, I don't know who put the bar in there, but it was, you probably had a heck of a time taking it out. But it was,
I don't know if it was here.
oh, you know what, Jenny might have taken out, because Cousin Jenny owned the house for a while, and put in the deck. There were stairs going up to the back mudroom, basically. So the chicken coop is back there, but no chickens when we lived here. Yeah.
They lost the house.
Oh,
It was a
really?
shambles. It was under tarp for like 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
We had the most beautiful robin's nest though. all blue strings from the tarps. All the robin's nest all had blue tarp strings through it.
Yeah.
So they lost it. A contractor came in, bought it, rehabbed it, and they've been renting it. Well, we had the gas boom in the area, and the rent and the price of it was just out of sight. They want like $250,000 for that.
Wow. Holy smokes. So what I see when I look out the fence is a lot less trees, but that was just like
Yeah, that's
trees.
their backyard.
I used to play down there too.
What?
I used to play down there too. When
Yeah,
I was
I know.
little, yeah.
Yeah. And then you keep going and there were cornfields and such.
The property from there, from Harrison Street, they go all the way down to the creek.
Oh, really? Their property.
I just never knew that.
450 feet
It's peaceful here.
all the way down.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was an abandoned car over there, and that was so cool to like sit in it. But we were like terrified of it because it was growing spiders.
Rusty is
Yeah.
here.
We got another group.
What was that Grandma said?
Because
back in the early part of this century, you know, farming was the middle class pursuit. Farming was what any middle class family would do. In fact, yeah, there were a lot of farmers, you know, and then as you know, time went on and mechanization and all of that, it's not as prevalent today. It's still around, but not as prevalent. Hello.
Is that my grandpa?
Oh my gosh. Here is David. He knows everything.
Why does everybody think I know it?
And then you go ahead and tell people stuff.
I know very little about this. I'm here to learn you with the knowledge.
Well, I'm only telling you what I knew from growing up with Grandpa. You know, and of course you were down at the house down there, and so anyway, so this was where his office was, and actually my mother's sister Angelique was his secretary until she got married. When she left, they had to hire 3 people to do her job because she was so efficient. That's the one thing everyone talks about my Aunt Angelique, was she was a hard worker. And she married a farmer, and anyway. And they have Harding's Dairy Bar if you ever go out there.
Oh, really?
So Grandpa also, other things that Grandpa did was he started the Northeast Pennsylvania Breeding Association to improve the genetics of dairy cows. They would have, do you know what they do there?
Yeah,
they collect
we
semen.
told some stories about them.
Mike told us about it.
But feel free. I mean, you might have a different perspective.
Well, this is the one perspective I have, is that, you know, when they store the semen that they collect, they store it in egg yolks, and so there were always a lot of meringues left over. Do you remember eating?
So funny.
I'd be so cautious about those meringues. I'm like,
Why? Do you know why they would store it in egg yolks?
I just.
I'm gonna
Well,
look that
just
up.
think what egg yolks do. Egg yolks are, for any person or any chicken, is where it's their food source.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't store it in egg yolk. They store it in egg whites, I thought, wasn't it? Oh, no, it is yolk. It is yolk, because they siphon out the white. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know anything more than that.
You just have a bunch of egg white. What do you do with
Yeah,
it?
well, have to say you
Make
get
meringues.
them free, and then you can make
protein.
It's protein. Yeah.
Yeah.
Retired, which was in the mid-50s, he had worked as a county agent for 39 years, and when they had his retirement dinner, 525 people showed up for that. He was a really well-loved person. He had a good temperament. I never saw Grandpa lose his temper at all. He would maybe say a few sharp words, and that was it. But you never saw him lose his temper. He was very even-tempered, and he always had some really clever little lines to say, or little ways of putting it in a wisdom-like manner, so that you would think, you know, while you were doing it, you know, and you didn't do it again, or, you know. But he was a generous person too. When I stayed with him in the summer, and Leslie stayed with him, and we all stayed to take care of Grandma, or to be with Grandpa, our jobs were to make the meals at dinner time. We always had to be there for dinner. Make stew, brown bread, Ranger cookies, and of course the meringues, which I never really liked. They were too sweet for me. But we would bake them, and we would, in the morning, we'd get up and we would go to, we'd maybe go visiting, but we would go to hoe a row of whatever in a garden, because he had gardens. He'd go different places for gardens. He had friends all around, and they would take a little section of their garden, and we would always hoe a row, never more than 10 or 15 minutes. And then in the afternoon, he would get home in time to watch the Phillies, and he would say, give us the car, and we would take the car. We could take the car and go swim in a swimming hole somewhere, you know. But we had to always be back for dinner time to be there at dinner. But it was a nice, lazy, fun time here. Really. Okay. I'm not sure how many women. I know he had at least 2, maybe 3. But this was where his office was, right here.
Cool.
Right as you come in the front door. And the reason one of the reasons he chose this place is he could walk to work. He lived right down the street, and he could also go down to the river. He liked to fish. So, and as a kid, you know, we're 8 or 9. We're out there in the river with Grandpa rowing. He had oars, you know, we're rowing the boat. And which was really a lot of fun until he got a motor, and then it wasn't as much fun. As kids, you know, here you were, my grandfather and maybe 2 grandchildren, all young, you know, and he was,
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
He was.
Now, John will tell you something about putting the worm on the hook you know, like 6 times. You only have to do it once to get a worm on a hook, you know, and then holding it over and grabbing it and saying, well, he's dead now. You mentioned him walking home for lunch every day and then taking a nap on the couch. Oh my gosh, what a nice work situation. Walk home for lunch, take a nap on the couch, and then come back.
Brings up the reminder of a simpler time.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had a dream job, basically.
Yes, yes.
So he will practice fishing in the office and
I don't know.
paperwork, go to lunch. And, oh,
Exactly. And then the German Shepherd Mitzi, did you mention that? He'd walk to work, and if Mitzi saw him turning one way on the street, she'd shoot down the street because she wanted to, you know, be under his desk all day. So if he turned that way, Mitzi wouldn't run after him because she'd say, oh, he's not going to the courthouse. So we had to do a little trick turn and come around this block and come in the other way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's a story from Grandma. So I've heard it enough times, I do believe it's
That's another
factual.
dream thing, is taking your dog to work.
Seriously.
People would love to do nowadays,
Yeah.
and they were able to do back then. We'd go out to farms, and
Yeah.
Mabel said he'd go out to farms and he'd see, he said some farms he'd see there's a lot of things that would need to be done, but he would only ever tell them one thing at a time.
Interesting.
He wouldn't overload them, you know, or,
Right.
or make them feel bad about their farming practices. He would only give a little bit of advice at a time.
Yes.
You know, when he retired, also he didn't completely retire. He stayed in contact with a lot of these people. I remember driving him around to a lot of these farms when.
Yes, right, right. And he'd have, like, he knew a farmer who was growing corn, and we could go pick corn in the field. And he knew a farmer who was growing strawberries, and we could go there. Yeah,
Let's go blueberry picking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
One thing I heard is that, you know, his job was to help farmers improve their farming practice. And like the bull barn was one of the big deals. But just like you said, he'd only tell them one thing. I always heard that farmers, you know, it's their territory. It's how they do their farming. It's how their father did it, how their grandfather did it. So it was really hard to convince them to do their farming in a different way, but that was his job. I don't know how he did it, but I always think about this as a teacher, because it's really hard to change teachers' way of thinking too, is he would like plant seeds about an idea, and then the farmer would say, hey, maybe we should, good idea, let's do that. So it was, I think about that at school, you know, with the teachers, this is the way I always ran my classroom, you know, and kind of plant the seeds. Good idea, let's do that.
Yeah, so that's an art in itself.
Yeah, seriously.
I was up here one year with when Leslie was here, and Leslie left for a couple days and left me all alone. And Grandpa put me to work. He took me out to the garden to weed the garden. And so I weeded the garden, did the best I could, went in and got him, and we walked out, and we're standing there, and Grandpa had his cane. We're standing there looking at the garden. He said, yeah, looks good, nice even rows. Popped me in the chin with his cane and said, next time, pick the weeds. Tell me which one was the weeds.
That is great.
And when 4 or 5 girls were there, you know, for 2 weeks or whatever, I finally figured out that he had a system. Up early, we go, you know, pick strawberries or pull out the weeds or whatever, take us to another garden with green beans, and then we'd eat lunch, maybe, I don't remember what, but then he'd take us to the brickyard, because we didn't like to bathe, necessarily. We were having too much fun. Take us to the brickyard, and we'd all swim, and that was our bath.
That's why I learned to swim.
Unless there was a Phillies game on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then,
And around here, you'd go to a creek, or there were different swimming holes. And actually, when I look at Tunkhannock on Google Maps, I'm surprised how many swimming pools are around here.
Holes or
Pools.
Pools, yeah,
People
like out
have
of
backyard
Tunkhannock Creek.
swimming Pools.
Yeah.
No, they have swimming pools in their backyards here.
Oh, because we used to be able to go to the creek, but they closed up.
Some of them they closed up.
Brickyard. Brickyard's been closed for years, which was sad.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But then
maybe
they've had a lot of floods, and which has filled in a lot of those deep holes that
Right.
they used to rely on.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was so overgrown, as a matter of fact, I almost forgot where it was.
Yeah, I know.
See, that explains, because I went and I heard that story and I say, there's nothing to swim in here. I couldn't even swim in there.
The brickyard had on the opposite, on the outer elbow of the turn there, it had a, didn't it have a rope?
Yes.
Because I remember, I have vague memories of my brothers swinging out there.
Yes.
Well, we weren't allowed to go there because that's where the bad boys were.
The mean ones. That's why I learned how to swim. Actually, it wasn't swimming, it was survival.
Fun about it. Jumping on the tires, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gather around, kitties. Go for it. Go for it. Down at the park, down where there's a park, if you down at the boat launch, there used to be a whole bunch of little tiny houses, and every time Grandpa went down there, he would pay children a quarter for watching his boat, and that was where all the poorest people in the town lived. And in 1973, they finally. No, later than 73. They were still in 73. They chained big chains around the houses and chained them to trees so they wouldn't float away in the floods.
Whoa.
And then later they just demolished them. In one of the later floods, they just took them all out and made it into a park.
I know a lady at church in Virginia whose cousin's house floated down down the river, Susquehanna, in one of the big floods. So I've heard that story.
And it became the library. And when I worked here, I got the job because my grandma worked here. They gave me the job. And when I worked here, this place was like practically groaning with books. It was jammed full. But Mabel worked here part-time. When Mabel was an only child, and one of my favorite stories about her is she used to have a pony at her farm, and she would get on the pony, and the pony would only go so far up the road before it would turn around and run back. And there was nothing she could do to keep the pony from turning around and running back. And she used to be so mad. She used to be crying on the pony and hitting it and beating it, and that didn't matter. The pony just ran back to the barn, like some horse we know.
Yeah, that's right.
If you have questions, you younger folk, if you have questions for your parents, ask them now, because
They'll forget.
they will forget. They'll get to the because I remember when our grandma was like your grandma Charlotte. I remember when our grandma was like that, and my sister and I figured Mabel was like that at 70. All of our elders are doing it at 80, so we got till 90. But ask us questions.
So I have till 100.
Yeah, so you have till 110. Awesome.
So you think you're not.
Okay, so Mabel. John Jaquish met Mabel Robbins at an ice cream social up in Mainsburg, and Mabel looked a lot like Kathy. Like she had big brown eyes and that wavy brown hair, and she was a little tiny thing. And then he married her and brought her down here. And the first few people in the family were born on the house on the corner of Putnam and Harrison Street, like catty corner to our friends' awards. But then that house, when Elaine was born, that house was too small, so they moved out down to 107.
No, they only had the upstairs of that thing, right?
They wouldn't. Grandma wouldn't let them go upstairs because there were bed bugs.
Oh, I thought they lived upstairs.
No, they only had the downstairs.
Okay.
The bed bugs lived upstairs.
Yeah, bed bugs were upstairs.
Did they pay rent?
Mabel had 8 children, and she lost 2 of her sons when they were older. Our Uncle George and our Uncle Bill were both. Bill was a test pilot, and George was a infantryman. And they both passed. Mabel lost 2 of her children, which I always just thought that was just hard to imagine. Parties, and how many people like that kind of stuff? Parties with their friends. How many people's favorite in this crowd? How many people your favorite color is green? How many people love road trips? How many people like to garden? And how many people have to look at an airplane when it flies over? This is all your genetics. You were born this way, you were hardwired, so you prefer all those things. In my mother's house, when we took our house apart, when she went into a nursing home, every single room was some shade of green. Mabel's favorite color was green, a particular shade of green, not quite this bright, more a sage kind of green. Yeah. Mabel's name was Mabel's name was Mabel Elaine. My mother's name was Elaine Jeanette Jaquish Crow. My name is Leslie Elaine Crow Clapp, and my daughter Margaret is Margaret Elaine Clapp Littleton. Remember it? Clapp Littleton. So we got the Elaine. Margaret's gonna have to have a cat and name it Elaine. We got the Elaine thing going. Oh, I always figured Mabel had 8 kids because she was lonely, because she was an only child. So I always figured that she was lonely, so she wanted a group, so she had 8 children. One day, I'm cutting to the chase here because you guys have probably heard enough. One day, she was working in the library. Oh, she had a lady named Santee that always came in and helped her take care of children.
Santee?
Santee, that was the only name we ever knew her by.
Right.
I'm sure she had a first name. Santee was her last name. I'm sure she had a first name. But Santee was all we ever knew her by. She helped Grandma take care of children. They always had dogs. They always had cats. Uncle Orrin had a groundhog for a pet until he started burrowing in the walls of the house. Then one time he burrowed in the front bedroom, and they found him out in the backyard somewhere.
Grandpa used to have chickens in the backyard too.
Remember? I remember that. He had chickens in the backyard. That house on Putnam Street is the second largest lot in the town, and it's one of 2 houses that still have a barn in the backyard.
Yeah.
I think there's one more that has a barn.
Didn't Santee make pies too? Because
Santee did everything.
yeah, Mabel Jaquish did not know how to bake.
Mabel was not very domestic.
Yeah, right.
She was very original. One day, Grandpa came up from the river and he couldn't find his car. And he realized that she had found the car keys and she was driving around Wyman County somewhere, and he didn't know where she was. So they used to take out loans to go on vacation. So, and one of her favorite places was, she loved to go to New England. And I have a picture at home that's a picture that says Franconia Notch, New Hampshire. And that was one of the places she liked to visit. She had a picture collection, and when she passed away, and she had enough pictures that all of our cousins got one.
Yeah.
That's how many she had in her collection, and they were all like above the windowsills in the house. Okay, so one day she's working in a library. After she had the 8 kids, I think she got a part-time job in the library so she could have some peace and quiet. So she's working in the library, and she looks out the window, and the people are like looking at the library and walking by. And they're like looking at the door and walking by. And finally she came to the door and realized that the family's German Shepherd was laying across the doorway.
Okay, Mitzi, yeah.
No, Peachy.
Oh, Peachy.
So she brought Peachy in, put her behind the desk, and then the patrons started coming back to that. When I was a little girl, we had a dog named Penny, and she was a mutt, and she was Mitzi's daughter, and your grandpa used to say she was a Tonkin Terrier.
An only child, and she lived on Robin's farm. And when they were looking for a house, Grandma and Grandpa, he said, well, do you want to live out in the farm like around Russell Hill, or do you want to live in town? And she said, in town, because she was so tired of living way out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, let me see. Where the bedrooms? Elaine and Charlotte had a bedroom, right?
Yes.
Aunt Cindy had a bedroom.
Did she have her own?
Yeah, that was a small room that she always slept in. And then there was the back bedroom, which might have been Uncle John and Uncle George. And I don't know. I'll have to ask. And then maybe it was the other boys, like Dad and...
But I know that Charlotte and Elaine shared a bed because Elaine would get so mad because Charlotte would always pee the bed. So they shared a bed.
Oh, my goodness.
And we had one bathroom, and when it was trout season and Easter, everybody would be there, so there'd be like 35, 40 people in one bathroom.
And line.
And we were glad to have it too.
And the boys never got in the bathroom because the girls would go in, and there'd be like 5 girls in there, and they'd be standing around in various brushing their teeth and sitting on potty or various stages of dress or undress. Somebody would get out of the shower and somebody else would get in.
And the boys were peeing in the creek.
I think so.
Is that true or not?
I think so.
I'm not going to deny anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not going to confirm anything.
No comment.
And then one time we were all sitting along the creek watching the boys fish, and Lori slid down this rock that it was angled like this, and she just like slid down the rock into the water. And my father just came along and said, "Here, Lori, grab my fishing pole." He took his fishing pole out. She grabbed the pole and he pulled her back in. I never realized till later my father could hardly swim, but he saved Lori's life. We always gave him credit for saving Lori's life.
Was that River or Tunkhannock Creek?
I don't know.
It was Bowman's Creek.
Was it?
Oh, Bowman's Creek.
I don't know where we were.
Yeah,
I do remember that, and he was very calm about it, and she was not calm, but he was.
Grab the fishing pole.
Well, now I put the history a little more together when Grandma talks about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Grandma will never get tired of
Telling stories.
about
Yeah.
what he was doing and all the good that he was doing with the farmers and growing more and bigger stuff. All quality.
Yeah.
That's awesome.